Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Reflective Psyche. Let me start with a question that almost every man has asked himself at some point. Is she into me, or is she just being nice? You replay her words in your head, analyze every emoji, every pause, and somehow end up more confused than before. But what if I told you that there's one subtle sign that gives everything away? One instinctive behavior that reveals when a woman has already chosen you, emotionally, even before she realizes it herself. Listen carefully, because this is where most men miss the truth. Women rarely confess their interest directly, especially in the early stages. They signal it through quiet, almost invisible behaviors. Not words, not confessions, but energy. When a woman begins to feel something real, her emotional defenses, those walls built from years of heartbreak and lessons, begin to lower. Not dramatically, but just enough for you to sense the shift. You'll notice it not in her words, but in how her energy synchronizes with yours. She starts to mirror your tone, your pace, your expressions. This isn't imitation, it's neurological alignment, her subconscious saying, I feel safe here. And safety for a woman isn't about protection from danger. It's about emotional security, the sense that she can be seen, heard, and accepted without judgment. If she laughs more easily around you, keeps her gaze steady, or begins sharing personal stories without being prompted, that's not small talk. That's trust unfolding. At that moment, she's no longer testing you, she's allowing you in. But here's where most men ruin it. They either rush forward, desperate to confirm what they hope is true, or they retreat out of fear of misreading the situation. Both moves break the emotional rhythm she's trying to create. You see, when she starts to emotionally synchronize with you, she's already made an internal decision. She may not say it aloud. She might even deny it to herself. But deep down, she's thinking, this man feels different. The real question isn't whether she likes you, it's whether you can recognize that moment without disturbing it. Now, let's get honest. Attraction doesn't fade because women lose interest. It fades because men mishandle it. That spark you feel when she starts opening up? It's fragile. She doesn't want to fall, she fears falling. For her, attraction isn't logic, it's surrender. And surrender only happens when she senses calm strength, a man who is steady, self assured, and just mysterious enough to keep her emotionally awake. When she leans in a bit closer than necessary, when her laughter lingers, when her eyes hold yours half a second too long, those are her invitations. But they're not asking, do you like me? They're asking, can I trust you to hold this energy without breaking it? Women don't fall for explanations, they fall for experiences. They don't love men they understand. They love men they feel. And that's where most men lose their footing. They start explaining themselves, oversharing, trying to prove they're different or good enough. But to her emotional radar, that reads as instability, a lack of internal grounding. Because when you try to earn what was already being freely given, you signal doubt. And doubt is the killer of desire. Attraction can't breathe in the presence of need. What she truly wants is to feel calm in your uncertainty, to sense that your world doesn't collapse if she pulls away slightly. When she teases you, challenges you playfully, or asks questions she doesn't need answers to, she's not being random. She's testing the emotional atmosphere. She wants to know if your composure is real. Can you stay centered while she expresses the unpredictable parts of herself? If you can, without arrogance, without coldness, she'll feel something rare, seen without being judged. That's the seed of emotional bonding. Connection isn't built in the fireworks of passion, it's built in the stillness of consistency. You don't need to chase her. You just need to stay rooted while she finds her way closer. Remember this: women don't fall for what you say, they fall for how they feel when you say nothing. Your silence, your presence, your steadiness, these are the languages of emotional attraction. She's not searching for a man who validates her every move. She's searching for one whose energy feels like home. When she begins offering her attention, her laughter, her curiosity, don't analyze it. Don't smother it. Let it breathe. That's how attraction evolves into attachment. When you stop trying to control the outcome, you give her space to invest. And when she invests freely, that's when you become irreplaceable. The irony? You can't make a woman love you. You can only become the kind of man her emotions feel safe loving. That's the unspoken truth behind every lasting connection. Forget the pickup lines and psychological tricks. Real attraction isn't built on manipulation, it's built on emotional gravity. And gravity isn't loud. It's the quiet pull of a man who no longer needs to chase because he's anchored in himself. When you stop trying to impress her and instead embody calm certainty, something magnetic happens. Your tone, your gaze, your stillness, they all communicate safety without words. If she's giving you her attention, she's already observing. Not your looks, not your words, but your energy. She's scanning for signs that you are grounded, that her emotions won't overwhelm you. Because when she feels that, she lets go. And when she lets go, she falls not for your charm or your confidence, but for the peace she feels in your presence. That's when you know. If she starts reflecting your energy, softening around you, leaning in without reason, you don't have to guess anymore. You already have her. Not because you convinced her, but because she felt you. And that feeling, once it takes root, is something no words can replace. Can this man handle my emotions without losing himself? That's the subconscious question she's asking, even when no words are spoken. If the answer is yes, her attraction deepens. If the answer is no, if she feels your energy waver or your confidence depend on her response, her instincts pull away. Because women don't just test attraction, they test emotional strength. Not through logic or intention, but through instinct. These tests aren't about manipulation. They're her way of feeling whether your calm is real or just an act that collapses under pressure. She might tease you, question your motives, or go distant right after showing interest. Most men panic at this stage. They start chasing, calling more, or trying to prove they care. But that's when you must do the opposite. Take a breath. Stay grounded. Let her return at her own pace, because she will. When she senses your self-worth doesn't hinge on her approval, something inside her relaxes. That's when you stop being just another man and become something rarer, an emotional anchor. She'll start revealing more of her inner world, speaking softer, opening up deeper, and matching your steady energy. That's not random. That's emotional bonding taking form. Without saying it directly, she's whispering, "I trust you with my truth." And that trust is the moment where attraction transforms into attachment. Once she begins to feel safe emotionally, you move from being an option to being a presence. Even when you're not around, she'll think about you, not because you impressed her, but because she felt something real in your stillness, your composure, your certainty. Most men never realize that you don't win a woman's heart by chasing her energy. You win it by mastering your own. But here's where things get deeper. Once a woman begins to care, her behavior often becomes paradoxical. She might pull away just as things seem to be going well. She might appear cold, distant, or unpredictable. Most men assume she's losing interest, when in truth, she's protecting herself. You've awakened something inside her that she didn't plan for, something her mind can't control. Attraction brings vulnerability, and vulnerability is terrifying for a woman who's been hurt before. How you respond in that moment decides everything. If you chase harder, over-explain, or demand clarity, you confirm her hidden fear that your confidence was conditional. But if you stay steady, kind, and patient, she begins to breathe again. Your calm tells her she's safe to feel. Because a woman's deepest desire isn't to be constantly pursued, it's to trust a man who doesn't lose his center when she tests it. Understand this. When a woman is emotionally attached, she will sometimes create small emotional storms just to see if you'll still stand firm in the rain. It's not deliberate manipulation, it's instinct. She's checking if your strength is real. If you take her reactions personally, becoming defensive, cold, or desperate, you fail the test. But the man who listens, stays calm, and responds rather than reacts, he becomes her emotional sanctuary. That's when she surrenders, not out of weakness, but out of relief. She starts treating your presence like safety itself. Then something beautiful happens. She begins to lean on you emotionally without even realizing it. She'll share details she's never told anyone. She'll ask for your opinion, value your silence, and trust your presence. Around you, she no longer performs. Her feminine energy flows freely because your masculine presence provides the space for it to exist. But don't mistake her openness as a reason to relax too much. The energy that drew her in, your focus, your discipline, your purpose, must stay alive. The masculine presence she's attracted to is not static. It's a living force that must be maintained through direction and self mastery. You keep that polarity alive by staying purpose driven, by having something larger than her affection to focus on. Because the moment your identity begins to orbit her validation, attraction dies. What she respects is not your obsession, but your balance. Respect is earned when you remain consistent through her inconsistency, when your emotional tone doesn't depend on hers. That's what builds devotion, not just desire. So, if she acts unpredictable, don't rush to fix it. It's not rejection, it's emotional calibration. She's adjusting to the depth of what she feels. Stay calm, stay centered, and she'll return even closer every time. This is where emotional mastery separates men who trigger attraction from men who sustain it. She's not searching for a man who never gets tested. She's searching for the one who stays steady when everything else fluctuates. Now, here's the part no one prepares you for. What happens once she's truly connected to you? When that emotional bond forms, something profound shifts in her psychology. She begins to mirror not just your words or habits, but your emotional rhythm. If you're grounded, she feels peace. If you're distracted, she feels distance. Your state becomes the environment of the relationship. That's how powerful masculine composure is. Once her guard falls, she invests naturally. She remembers the smallest details, the way you take your coffee, the songs you like, the things that calm you. She'll make space for you in her routines and subtly align her priorities with yours. You won't have to demand effort. She'll give it freely because it feels effortless when she's emotionally safe. But here's the paradox. The more she feels, the more she fears losing that feeling. That's when her sensitivity heightens. She becomes aware of your silences, your tone, your distance. Many men mistake that sensitivity for neediness, but it's not. It's emotional awareness, a deep attunement to your energy. When she cares, she feels you even when you say nothing. If your energy shifts, she notices. If you withdraw into distraction or doubt, her instincts alert her immediately. That's the moment when true emotional leadership is required. You don't fix her sensitivity, you study it. You show her through presence that you can hold her emotions without absorbing them. That's what makes her trust deepen and desire grow. Because in her world, safety doesn't mean predictability, it means your calm remains unmoved, even when her emotions do. So remember this, a woman doesn't fall in love because you control her feelings. She falls because your energy makes her feel safe enough to lose control. That's the paradox of feminine psychology. She surrenders not to dominance, but to stability. The more you master your emotions, the more she opens hers. And that's how attraction transforms into deep, unshakable connection, not through pursuit, but through presence. That's why your calm confidence matters now more than ever. Because when a woman is emotionally invested, She doesn't crave perfection, she craves consistency. She's not watching how flawless you are, she's watching how steady you stay. At this stage, your stability becomes the foundation of her trust. This is the point in a relationship where connection either deepens into devotion or fades into distance. If you stay grounded, keep communicating with honesty, and lead with quiet composure, she will attach even more deeply. She'll begin to relax into your presence. She'll stop questioning your intentions because your energy gives her something solid to lean on. She'll start showing affection more freely, not through grand gestures, but through softness, warmth, and effort. And when that happens, the bond begins to feel effortless. But here's where most men fail. They start assuming her effort will always be there. They take her nurturing for granted, or worse, they allow insecurity to infect their calm. When that happens, her instincts sense instability. She doesn't consciously decide to pull away, she just feels something is off. Remember this truth: women don't leave when they stop loving you. They leave when they stop feeling safe loving you. Love without safety turns into anxiety. And safety doesn't mean control, it means emotional grounding. That's why your inner peace is your most powerful form of attraction. If she's softening around you, if her tone changes when she speaks to you, if she gives her energy freely, recognize that for what it truly is. It's not simple affection, it's emotional surrender. That's her saying, without words, "You make me feel safe enough to love." At that moment, you've already won her heart. Now your responsibility is to protect the peace that made her fall. This is what separates men who keep a woman's devotion from those who only ever taste it. Real attraction isn't about capturing attention, it's about sustaining respect. Once she's emotionally invested, her instincts begin scanning for one thing: is this man who he appeared to be? And the answer doesn't come from your words. It comes from your consistency. When your energy, your behavior, and your actions align, she feels safe to keep opening up. But the moment that alignment breaks, when your words say one thing and your mood says another, her heart begins to build walls again. Because emotional safety, once broken, takes more than apologies to rebuild. When a woman gives herself to you emotionally, it's no small thing. It means she's decided, consciously or not, to let you influence her internal world. Her nervous system begins syncing with yours. She mirrors your calm when you're steady and mirrors your chaos when you're unstable. That's how much impact your energy has. You stop being just her partner, you become her emotional environment. So ask yourself honestly, what kind of world are you creating inside her? Is it calm or chaos? Certainty or confusion? Because most men don't realize this. Once you've earned a woman's emotional trust, you become the emotional climate she lives in. Your tone, your silence, your focus, they all shape how safe she feels. Even when you're not around, your presence lingers in her body. That's why emotional discipline is everything. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be stable. You just have to stay rooted in purpose, passion, and principle. That's what keeps her magnetized to your energy. And yes, she'll still test you, not because she doubts you, but because she's seeking reassurance that your strength wasn't temporary. Every woman, consciously or not, checks to see if the man she loves is still safe to surrender to. When you respond with calm, not ego, with leadership, not defensiveness, she falls even deeper. Because what she sees then is something rare: a man who doesn't just demand respect, but naturally commands it through his presence. So if she's showing quiet vulnerability around you, if her tone softens when you speak, if she starts letting her emotions flow without fear, understand, that's it. You already have her. You're not trying to win her anymore. You're maintaining what's already yours. But here's the part most never understand. What determines whether you keep her isn't charm, dominance, or status. It's emotional integrity. It's proving over and over again that your strength isn't a performance. It's who you are when no one's watching. Emotional integrity is what makes a woman feel at home in your presence. Because women don't stay for constant excitement, they stay for peace, the kind that feels safe, grounded, and alive. They stay where their nervous system can rest. They stay where their emotions don't have to defend themselves. So be that peace. Guard it fiercely. Grow it daily. Stay disciplined in your focus, consistent in your energy, and honest in your intentions. Because the moment you lose your calm, you lose the very magnetism that made her trust you. The reflective psyche isn't just about understanding female psychology, it's about mastering your own. A man's real power doesn't come from control, it comes from emotional balance. When your energy is calm, you pull her closer without effort. When your presence feels like home, she chooses you again and again. That's what makes a man unforgettable. Not the words he says, but the stillness he carries. Not how he reacts to her emotions, but how he holds space for them. When a man masters his calm, he becomes the anchor she didn't know she needed, the kind of man a woman doesn't just desire, but deeply trusts. And in the end, that's the essence of attraction, not chasing her love, but becoming the peace where love can safely stay.